All right. Yo, what is good, yo? Yo, I am excited, yo, to do this video. Yo, I watched this last night, and for those who don't know who I am Marquise Deshawn, yo. I am a legend in the making. I am powerful, right? I am greatness. I am history. I am a winner. I am gifted. Matter of fact, I am the chosen one. If you are the chosen one, and all those things I said going down the list, and you are watching this video, there's a reason why you tapped in and clicked on this video for a reason. And also, you love history, all right? And if you grew up in my era and you know the truth about certain things, you always question certain things. And that's one thing I like to repeat in my video is that we were all created to create. We were put here on this planet to create bigger opportunities for ourselves. And that's what I'm all about. Is bigger opportunities, yo, because I gotta create an opportunity for myself. We gotta do it because nobody gonna hold our hand throughout the process, yo. We gotta do it for ourselves. And another thing too as well, this video I'm about to play right here, yo, let me just say this, yo. This shit is mind blowing, bro. And the thing is, I like to do my own research. Of course, that's the number one thing you gotta do your own research because even though you can watch a video, you can watch somebody else's stuff, right? But it's good to do your own research and dive deep for yourself because it's good to question things. Because if you ain't questioning what the fuck is going on, I mean, you can live your life. That's good. You can do what you gotta do. That's good. You can wake up and go to your 9 to 5 job. That's good. But if something inside you, like your spirit, and you question things, and I'm not disregarding no one's life situation or someone who goes to church or religion stuff, but if you question something in your spirit and you're a spiritual person, matter of fact, a spiritual being, if you ain't questioning that about what's really going on in life, yo, there's something we gotta really think about. Really think about this, yo. I'm about to play this video, like I said, and also this is for only educational purposes only, and my passion. We don't have a passion for something, and I want to share my passion and my interest with someone that has the same exact interest as I do, because there's certain beings in this world or somebody that's a higher up don't want someone like me and you to watch some videos like this because they know they got one side I don't believe, you got the other side I don't believe in this too. So it's 50-50. But I'm here to tell you and show y'all about what I think and feel about this. And yo, let's get right into it, yo. I was pumped because I don't want to. It was kind of late at night when I was playing. It was about to be like 10 o'clock at night, yo. I figured let me go on here, and someone from the spirit world was telling me, yo, Keith, you gotta watch this video. It's time to tap back in to my spirituality. It's time to get back into it. And I'm about to show y'all what I've been watching and the things that I like to watch, and hopefully y'all do the same thing as well. The channel is called The Fifth Kind. That's all I gotta say. So let's go. Let's hit play. Let's do the thing.
I've been a preacher for more than 30 years. I've studied and taught through the book of Genesis many, many times in churches all around the world. And I've trained pastors in the skills of interpreting texts. And it's very clear they're not stories about gods. They're stories about the powerful ones in the Bible and the sky people, the Anunnaki, in the Sumerian tablets. In 1896, eminent scholar Nathaniel Schmidt was fired from his position as professor of Semitic languages at Colgate University. For 11 years, this American university had enjoyed Nathaniel Schmidt's erudition in Semitic languages. He delivered numerous courses in Hebrew, Aramaic, Coptic, Arabic, Syriac, and other ancient languages besides. In fact, Nathaniel Schmidt was one of America's leading scholars in the field. So why, after 11 years of outstanding achievement, was he tried for heresy and fired from his tenure in 1896? Though a devout Christian and a Baptist pastor, had struck at the very roots of two world religions, Christianity and Judaism. What Nathaniel Schmidt had done wrong was read the Sumerian and Babylonian and Assyrian texts and notice that they were full of fascinating parallels, stories that occurred there that were uncannily similar to all the stories of beginnings of the Bible. Stories like Adam and Eve, the fall, Cain and Abel, the flood, the limiting of human life, the event at the Tower of Babel. And Schmidt's work demonstrated that the Sumerian accounts and those that followed it from nearly 6,000 years ago were in all probability the source of all those familiar biblical stories. Now, that was a problem in the 1890s, because if you think about it, the church was still reeling from the after effects of Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species, and it was busy putting together new doctrinal bases and new doctrines of biblical inerrancy to shore up the ship. So the idea that the Bible might actually be based on somebody else's stories was a bit of an embarrassment. It shouldn't have been, because Judaism and Christianity both find their roots in the story of a Sumerian family, the family of Abraham and Sarah. Abraham and Sarah grew up and spent the best part of their lives in Ur of the Chaldees, a Sumerian culture. And so when they emigrated from there, it's hardly surprising that they would carry with them all the stories of beginnings that they had grown up with and sow them into the foundations of what was to become their culture, their religion, and their Bible.
Now let me skip this, yo.
Bible, we have a summary version of all these stories that pepper the Sumerian, Babylonian, and Assyrian texts. The problem and the shock horror is that the original versions, the Sumerian versions of these stories, make no mention of God at all. In the Sumerian originals, these are stories of our ancestors' contact with another species, a species called the Anunnaki. Could Judaism and Christianity's familiar stories of God really be a retelling of our ancestors?
Now, who knows who that is? Does anybody like you watching this video, right? You're watching this video. So, do you know who the Anunnaki are? Do you know who they are? Are you familiar with them? A lot of people don't know who that is. A lot of people don't know who the Anunnaki are because I feel like we're so used to obviously, like I said, I'm not judging no one's religion, right? But like I said, like in the beginning of the video, I said like have an open mind, like when it comes to this, because if your spirit is literally telling you, your spirit is literally speaking to you, like through your mind, and if you're a spiritual person and you believe in God and the Bible, right? Then if your spirit is talking to you from what's wrong and from what's right, what's the truth, even when you're in school, like certain information like our teachers will give us, right? Now say like when our teachers give us like certain information that we that we're supposed to learn. You know, we have to know this. We have to, because if we don't, then we're not going to know nothing. We have to pass the classes and all that, and history classes and stuff. And like me as a kid growing up, like for so many years, like I would literally question, like I said already, I would literally question everything and anything, like, and like my spirit, our ancestors, because look what he said, our ancestors, stories of God really being retelling of our ancestors' close encounters with. So, but our ancestors, my ancestors, is through my bloodline, is in my DNA. I have their DNA. So by me learning these classes in history and the teachers are telling me this false stuff, right? Because everything can be false. Like, yeah, if I'm telling you about this right here, there's gonna be someone. There's always gonna be somebody that's gonna criticize this or whatever. They have their own opinions, but at the same time, my spirit, my ancestor was working through me, telling me, don't believe this false information. You feel it in your gut. You get that gut feeling. If your gut ain't telling you this is not real, like, come on, really think about this, y'all. Really think about this. Really think about this. So this is why this man right here, how he's explaining, breaking everything down, it'll literally have you question so much stuff. And even like the next video I'm gonna do after this as well, is gonna have you question things. It's good to question stuff, because if you don't question things, you're really not living. You're living, but you're not living in the truth. And we all have to learn to live in the truth about what's our surroundings. There's more out there there's more out there than just, you know, getting up every day doing the same thing over and over again. You know, it's good to know the truth and then live your life to the fullest. Yeah, you can believe in God, you can have a peaceful, positive life and going to church and everything, but at the same time, it's, you know, we're being lied to. We're being lied to as a race. We're being lied to, because then we're looking up to something that's really not there. Because we were created to create, right? Like I said, we were created to create for a reason, not to. My bad, yo. But yo, we were created. We were literally created to create. Oh, so like that's that's my whole point, is saying like, yo, it's really important to know, you know, hold on. It's really important to know our background and where we come from, and the things that's going on. And all, it's like I said, it's really important to know these things. It's really important to know these things, because if we don't know these things, what's the whole entire, point? Like I said, of living this up. What's the whole point? Hold up, y'all. What's damn, my bad. I'm trying to figure. My computer shut down. I had to restart real quick, but yo, luckily it was still recording. But I'm saying like, yo, what's the whole point of living, yo? Because like I said, we were created to create. You know, there's a reason why we have like these thoughts, these gifts for a reason, not to live off somebody else and go work for somebody else. There's my point is that yo, our ancestors put us here for a reason. All right, so let me hit play. I'm over here dragging it now, so let me just hit play for you. You can watch this.
Ancestors' close encounters with extraterrestrials. The cuneiform tablets which had fascinated Nathaniel Schmidt were first unearthed in the 1500s as colonial powers began to excavate the ancient sites of Mesopotamia. Over the decades that followed, some 200,000 clay tablets were uncovered. The tablets were adorned with strange etchings or glyphs made when the clay was soft. Scholars of the day were divided as to the meanings of these markings. Some believed the glyphs to be an unknown written language. Others refused to accept this, since the tablets appeared to predate any known language. They presumed the markings to be no more than decoration. And so the tablets were archived, their secrets locked away for 3 centuries. Until, in 1835, Henry Rawlinson arrived in southwestern Iran. Rawlinson was a military man. He was employed by the East India Tea Company, and he was in Iran helping the Shah of Iran to train his troops. Now, it's worth pausing there for a moment, because if you thought that corporations rivaling nation states was something new, take a look at the East India Tea Company. A tea company that is able to move a standing army around the world and that trains the armies of nation states, that's quite a tea company. In fact, Rawlinson's presence in Iran wasn't part of a quid pro quo for trading rights. He was there for access to the district of Behistun. He wanted to find the Behistun inscription. The Behistun inscription was an ancient royal proclamation carved into a cliff face. It was written in 3 known languages: Persian, Elamite, and Akkadian, which was the common language of the Mesopotamian cultures. The inscription expressed all 3 languages in cuneiform script. It was the translation key the cuneiform tablets had been waiting for. The memories of Mesopotamia's ancient cultures were suddenly an open book. The glyphs were not mere decoration after all. They were banking records, business agreements, shopping lists, contracts, recipes, inventories, royal histories, and the most ancient narrative in the history of the world. It was in these ancient narratives that the source of the Bible's familiar stories began to emerge. At an academic...
Yo, doesn't that sound familiar to y'all? Don't that sound familiar? That sounds like today's modern stuff, right? And that's written on the walls? What? Yo, y'all see what I'm talking about though, right? That was written on the walls, bro. Receipts, yo, shopping lists, bro. That's so we're not like them, yo. So we don't have no history at all. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that? Did you know that? That they had that? Did they tell you that in history class? I bet you they didn't tell you that in history class, yo. I bet you they didn't tell you that in history class. I didn't know that stuff last night. I watched the video, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I just found that out, bro. So history literally repeats itself, yo. History repeats itself. I'm telling y'all, man. They ain't gonna teach us shit in school. They ain't gonna teach us none of this shit, bro. If you go to college, I get it, if you go to school, whatever. Because you gotta pay for that. You gotta pay for to learn history. You gotta pay to learn math and how to fucking shop and how to write a checkout and all that. You gotta learn how to do all that stuff. You have to learn to do that. You have to. They have to teach us that. No, that's just naturally in us. That's already built in our DNA. That's naturally in our DNA. We know how to do this stuff. Cause look, it's yo, look at this, yo. Look at this shit. It's literally hold on. It's literally written on walls, bro. They kept receipts, bro. Those are literally receipts in today's modern time. We say you got no proof, yo. Well, yo, that's full proof right there. That back in the 6,000 years ago, 7,000, 10,000 years ago, who knows? Going way further back before that was literally everything was kept records of everything and still today. Where do you think we got all that stuff from? Huh? Where do you think we got all that stuff from?
Level, Nathaniel Schmidt was in good company. He was one of a small number who began confronting us with this new layer of our history. And I should mention, just to reassure you, that shortly after Colgate University fired him, he did get a new job with Cornell University, and he was professor of Semitic languages there for a full 36 years. So he did land on his feet. His work continued to argue that the cuneiforms reveal that our earliest histories are not about God. They are about our prehistoric contact with the Anunnaki.
Wow.
In the 20th century, the writer Zechariah...
And he lost his job, yo. See what the truth does, yo? You see, yo, this is school. Even when I was going to school, even when my parents was going to school. Even you have to teach when you get hired for a job. You have you have to work this way, that way. You work at a fast food restaurant, work at Walmart, right? You have to go based off what they want you to do, right? You have to go based off what they want you to do. Now, you become a teacher or professor at a college. I literally just said that. If you want to become a professor at a college, they want you to teach this right here. Talk about this. You can't talk about that. Okay, you can do your research, your history. You bring it to them. Hey, I found this right here. In history, I literally said this making a video in history class. If our spirit is telling us, yo, this is not what it's. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. This is real. My ancestors is telling me this is not real. This is not no. This man got fired and he found another job because I guarantee you they didn't like the fact is that he was talking about these things and he found a lot of real information and they did not like that at all. So they fired him. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Huh? I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. Let me stop pausing this.
Sitchin began poring over the cuneiform texts. He highlighted the clear implications of the Sumerian stories, that the Anunnaki were powerful and advanced extraterrestrial species. Their
We are
arrival
species
on
too.
planet Earth put them at the top of the terrestrial food chain. To create a local workforce, the Anunnaki used sequences of their own genetic code to hybridize a primate ancestor into a human, ready to put to work for their Anunnaki masters.
All right, with this certain part of the
Sitchin
video,
argued
I
the
didn't
word
really.
Anunnaki means those who came from the heavens to Earth.
This part, but the DNA part, when they came down here, when they got here to our planet, right? When it gets further on the video, there's a certain part I didn't really, because everyone has their own perspective and their own way, like their own way of research. But like with a certain part, once it gets further into it, about this not the DNA part right here, but the one that's going to be coming up soon. I didn't really agree to like one part of it, like I said, because like I said, everyone has their own opinion. And this is the reason why I'm doing this to put my opinion out there and to tell you what I think. But if you watch it, you can also do your research on it too as well when it comes to like certain DNAs, because we can't talk about DNA on YouTube. We can't. Last video I did, I'm not gonna lie, I don't care. Last video that I did, it got shut down because I was talking about DNA. And shout out to Dane Calloway too as well. He talked about DNA. The video that he made kept lagging and everything kept getting shut down and everything. And they don't want us to talk about DNA. I don't know why. But the video is good, but a certain little thing I didn't really like about how you could, yeah.
A phrase that made clear their extraterrestrial origin.
Let's get this, I do not own the rights to this video.
Zechariah Sitchin was not an academic. He was not a PhD or a professor. He had a degree from the London School of Economics.
He's the one who got fired, by the way, from his job.
The LSE, I should say, is a pretty august institution. He wrote at a popular level, that's to say for a general audience. and not with the kind of referencing and footnotes that you'd expect to see in an academic kind of tome. And academic critics don't like that. They think that's slack. Some might identify mistakes or bias in his work, and that's then their pretext to disregard his contribution, which is an important one. Now, some writers in the field reject Sitchin's translation of the word Anunnaki, and they would contend that the word's usage tells us that it simply means nobility or royalty, the rulers. I'm not persuaded by that. It's not that that's not true. It's just a very partial answer. It's a very lazy explanation. It simply doesn't ask enough questions. Who were the rulers identified by this word? Why is that word associated with the rulers? You see, if you look at the etymology of the word, at its root meanings, look at the component parts, you have anu, which means heavens, ki, which means earth. Anunnaki are those who came from the heavens to the earth. You can follow the logic. But even if you didn't have that narrative embedded in the word itself, as soon as you read the cuneiforms, the stories themselves unpack that that is exactly what was going on. And the glyph that they use to indicate the rulers who come down from the heavens at the beginning of the story, that glyph simply indicates the sky. So these Anunnaki are from the heavens. They're sky people.
I do want to add something real quick. I know, damn, I don't like pausing the video on y'all. Yo, listen. So this is why it's important to do our research, because he said he wasn't really quite sure. You see? So my opinion, when I did my research, because before I found this video, from my perspective, is that there's different. So think of us here on planet Earth. Think of us. Okay, there's different religions. Okay, in the UK, you got the kings and queens over there, the princesses and prince. No, think of that the same exact way from above, from the heavens, which the heavens, aka the sky, aka space, right, aka different planets, which was only one planet from where they were from, but it was all different, broken up into different regions. I like to say, think of Star Wars because your boy's a big Star Wars fan, you know. So think of that. Think of that. Put into that perspective. Okay. So that's my personal think that's the meaning behind it, because otherwise it wouldn't be said if it wasn't. Okay, it wouldn't be said. There's a reason why it's said in the tablets. It's said for a reason. The meaning behind Anunnaki, the meaning of it. So, from like I said, think of that how now there's only one set of kings and queens, which is in the UK. I don't know why, because out on our home planet, planet Nibiru, right? There was kings and queens out there. There was royals on that planet, and they came down here. We ascended here and began to restart a brand new life. So that should have continued, but no, it's only stuck with one, the White House family. I can get into a lot about that, but that because if you're in the White House, you're in a family, that's considered royalty. But I don't really consider that. And then the UK, the Queen and everything. So they took there's a lot I can get into about that, but yes, they were royalties. It was because from my opinion, from my perspective about doing my studying, is that they were. You gotta do your research. It's important to. But
Many of the
he's good
world's
what he's
oldest
saying, though.
mythologies claim that governance over human society began with dominance over human beings being established by superior beings or gods.
See?
And then the job of rulership is handed over at a later stage to human governors or kings.
See? Fake
Egyptian
kings and
mythology
queens.
holds such a narrative.
Fake kings and queens.
Similarly, the Bible speaks of King Saul as the first human king, over the people of God. The Sumerian cuneiforms also named their first human king, Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh. But he was...
To be more accurate, Gilgamesh is a transition king, a hybrid of human and Anunnaki.
Yeah. So
his name appears on one of the most famous of Mesopotamian artifacts, the Sumerian Kings List.
So
among the shopping lists, legal agreements, business contracts, and all the rest of the cuneiform tablets, there appears what on first inspection is a dry record of a succession of kings of Sumeria. The most recent entries record reigns of 6 to 36 years. As we go further back on the timeline, the Kings List starts running with some odd-looking information, because out of the blue, we suddenly read of a dynasty that lasted 24,510 years, 3 months, and 3.5 days. Now, that precision absolutely befits Sumerian culture, because it's from Sumerian culture that we get 360 degrees in a circle, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. So the precision doesn't surprise us. What is odd is that that dynasty of 24,510 years, 3 months, and 3.5 days was divided across no more than 23 kings. That's an average reign of more than 1,000 years each. And it's not a one-off. The dynasty concluded by the Great Flood lasted 241,000 years, shared by no more than 8 kings. That's an average reign of more than 30,000 years.
Yo, you see what I'm saying? No, why is there only one family, yo? Why is there only one family? In the UK, I'm not shutting no UK down and all that shit. I'm not doing that. But really think about that, yo. I literally just said that, yo. And look at this background, yo. Look at that mural on the wall too, yo. History does not lie. They would not put this stuff on the wall. They would not put these morals on the wall. They would not have history. So when they left from our planet, when they was still here, they visit here, they're still visiting, but they don't show themselves or reveal themselves. Okay? They will not reveal themselves. But they left this behind for a reason. They left this morals, all the stuff on the wall, all these carvings on the wall. This tree, this is the tree of life right here. This is not almost the tree of life, but that's one of the things when they create. I'm trying to tell you, I don't want to say too much right now. Let me get into the video. I'm trying to tell y'all, why is there only one set of family besides the people who live in the White House? Not Donald Trump, Obama and all the family tree, right? And the kings and queens, they're all tied together. The White House, the people that come over here, because we're adopted. Apparently, we're adopted from the UK. I don't know if someone know about that. United Kingdom, United States is the same thing. Okay. But why is only one state? But you see how he said there was more than 30,000, so more than 30,000 years, right? Right? There was a lot of kings and queens. There was kings and queens here before shit got taken over and got governed. Why? Why? I bet you didn't know that. I bet you didn't know that. Come on, yo. Come on now.
Now, some have tried to make the dates symbolic or have interpreted their unit of time differently, but that doesn't quite work when it's an unbroken record of 6 to 36 year reigns to 36,000 year reigns, all in the same unit of time, all in the same narrative. The narrative begins with non-human kings who then hand over to human kings. And this elasticity of the length of their dynasties is another suggestion that the non-human kings are something quite different to human beings. It's like comparing the lifespan of a human being with the lifespan of an ant.
Game day.
Look at that.
When our greatest sport heroes prepare for battle.
Look at that. Listen,
The
y'all.
King's List is not the only evidence pointing to an extraterrestrial hypothesis. The Sumerian version of the Tower of Babel speaks of 50 technicians who employ mysterious technology to dispatch 300 observers to their stations in the stars. Read alongside the Genesis account, the two narratives confirm one another and paint a vivid picture. Babel was a stargate, providing the observers rapid access to space stations.
The thing that got me into this whole field of research was an anomalous word in the book of Genesis. I've been a preacher for more than 30 years. I've studied and taught through the book of Genesis many, many times in churches all around the world. And I've trained pastors in the skills of interpreting texts. So I've long known about this anomalous word.
Yo, these pastors know.
Well, finally, I allowed myself the time to sit down and really drill into what was going on. Genesis uses two words for God. One is Elohim and one is Yahweh or Jehovah. Now, Yahweh is the holy name given to Moses in a time centuries or millennia after all the action described in the stories of beginnings. So the fact that the word Yahweh appears in those much older stories, that clues us that we're not reading the original version of the stories. The stories are being retold by someone after the time of Moses. Now, there's a broad consensus among biblical scholars that the current version of the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures, was edited or redacted sometime in the 6th century BCE, and that the redactor, by putting the name Yahweh into these older stories, the stories that Abraham and Sarah had brought with them, was telling the reader to regard them as God's stories. By using the later name, he's also telling the reader this is not the original version. Originally, they were Elohim stories. Now, that word Elohim is a very interesting word because it's a plural form word. It often exhibits plural behaviors. Let us make the humans to look like one of us. We don't want them to become too much like one of us, etc. The word Elohim often takes plural verb forms. It's sometimes translated as God, but in other places it gets translated as false gods or demons or angels or chieftains or land barons. So why this enormous elasticity in the word's meaning? Well, again, we have to go back to the roots of the word and ask, why is it used that way? And why does it behave like a plural? When you look at its component parts, the word Elohim means the powers or the powerful ones. Now, when you read Genesis translating the word that way, the texts change and suddenly line up with the Sumerian texts. One by one, they confirm each other's stories. And it's very clear they're not stories about gods. They're stories about the powerful ones in the Bible and the sky people, the Anunnaki, in the Sumerian tablets.
Yep.
But is there any material evidence that a non-human ruling presence ever occupied planet Earth? One might reasonably ask, why have no physical remains of Anunnaki been found?
Firstly, I would note that the more we dig up ancient sites, the greater a diversity of ancient peoples we're finding.
Yo, this is the best part, actually. This part right here is what got me like, yo, I was hyped right here. I was pumped when I seen this, when we discover stuff, yo, they didn't want to come up with some shit to be like, yo, they don't want us to know the truth, that's not real. They try to hide it, bro. They try to hide it. Let me just say that they try to hide it. They try their best. Just like if I do my videos, I put my stuff on here on the channel and all that stuff, or if I put it somewhere else, certain things they won't let me. They won't let me. They won't allow me to. They won't allow me to put certain things on certain platforms and all that.
If you think about the hobbits that were found in Indonesia, we called them hobbits. I think the proper name is Homo florensis.
Lord of the Rings?
Or the giants of Noble County, or the red-haired giants of North America, or the long skulls of Paracas, etc. There's a great range of people that we're beginning to come across as we dig into our ancient past. So how would we know if we found DNA testing? So if Gilgamesh really was a human Anunnaki hybrid, then all we have to do is find the royal tomb and DNA test him. Well, I believe that's exactly what happened in Iraq in 2003. A team went in protected by American troops at the beginning of the 2003 Iraq invasion and found Gilgamesh's tomb. Fassbinder spoke to the BBC. You can go on his website. You can read all about it. Now, the official story is that having located the probable tomb site 16 years ago, we decided not to investigate any further. Similarly, in 1927, the British archaeologist Leonard Woolley discovered a person known as Queen Puabi. Now, she was a high-ranking Sumerian leader who lived around 2500 BCE, and they had found her remains. So again, here's another find, which with today's technology provides us with the opportunity to DNA test. We can now test Sumerian royalty to confirm whether it was entirely human. The result? Apparently, we've decided not to investigate any further.
I wonder why. Did I not say that? I literally said that. The truth is out there. The truth is out there. It's been there. It's always been there. Always. 2003. I'm trying to think what grade I was in. In 2003. I had been in fourth grade, I think. Fourth grade or third. I forget. And no one knows about that. Why can't they investigate that? And the British has what? Has her tomb? And they decide not to investigate any further? Why? Why couldn't they finish the investigation on that? That should tell you something right there. Right? Come on now.
Now, what do you make of that? Wouldn't you want to know?
And he knows too, because he's smiling too. He knows the truth. He knows the truth.
But why would an extraterrestrial species be interested in governing a human population on planet Earth? Why would advanced beings from another planet have any interest in interfering with human evolution and managing a human population? Why would they teach prehistoric humans about mathematics, reading, legal and banking systems, contracts of employment, money and pricing mechanisms? And why would they then withdraw?
I wonder if our own behavior as a species on our own planet might give us an insight on what such colonization might look like. Because when we colonize, we go in with force, we show our superiority, and we take over. We provide the police, we provide the army, the education, we put the locals to work, we cream off the profits and the natural resources, and basically enjoy all the benefits of sitting at the top of the economic tree with a powerful, visible presence to keep control.
It's crazy because I actually mentioned this to my dad. Like, all right, we had all this technology, right? Had all the resources. right? And we were so powerful, right? Before they descended and went away. Now, when that was left behind, who did? Okay, it may have been left for us, but why didn't we have a guard there to guard all that stuff? So when they descend and leave, they have us to have something. Oh man, there's so much theories behind that, man. There's a lot of theories behind that. There's a lot of theories behind that right there. It makes you question that. And that's why I said it's really important to question these kind of things when it comes to this. Answers, bro. I'm trying to tell y'all.
But after a while, you can get the locals to do their own policing and their own school teaching. Let the locals become the lawyers and the bankers and appoint a local as the governor.
And look what's happening in today's society. Look what's happening, in modern time. What's happening? Since all this happened, right? All the chaos and all the banks and schools and the news media and all these things that and the matter of fact, the influences that we have, all the bad influences and stuff. What's happening? It's no good for us. Look what happened. Why? Why was it? Why? Why'd they leave? Let's see if he talks about it. Let's see what he says.
As long as you have some control of the value of the money, and as long as you set all the commodity prices and exchange rates, you don't really need to maintain a visible presence anymore. And so you can go home, you can live in another country and still enjoy all the benefits of sitting at the top of the economic tree. Now that's how we do it. It's how we've done it from the Roman Empire to the Spanish, to the Dutch, the Portuguese, the British, the American. That's how we do it. Is it possible that an ET presence may have colonized the world in our prehistoric past in a way that's analogous to that? That another species came and resided on planet Earth for a while. They sat at the top of the economic tree and enjoyed all the benefits of it, and then withdrew in exactly the kind of way I've just mapped out. You know, I wonder how much like the Anunnaki we are.
Are they still here? Huh? Sitting up there just chilling, relaxing, and all the depression and all that stress and anxiety, like, why can't they help out? Is somebody like, okay, they may have left, but is somebody still here? Is somebody still here? Like, creating all this chaos, creating all these fucking crazy things that's happening in the world and the school systems and the bank systems and all that stuff. Like, that's my whole point. Somebody is taking control of the world. Who has full control? Who answers to who? Who? Okay, all right. Who decided community police? Who said that? Okay, we need to have a court system. We need to have these certain rules because that creates problems. Though these rules create problems because people's gonna want to break the rules for a reason because they're tired of not having money in pocket. That's why a lot of people getting robbed every single day. A lot of people getting killed over money, and stores being robbed and banks being robbed and people quitting their jobs every single day and not wanting to work and all that because they're being controlled and stressed out. These problems are created for a reason, to control us, to going to the doctors, everything was created on purpose to create chaos. And that's why I said in the beginning, we were created to create. Some use their power for evil, some use their power for good. If someone uses power for good, but then they get controlled or something bad happens to that person, or they're being criticized by someone doing good, the good person who wants to change the world is being criticized and being laughed at. No, because we got trained to do that shit over centuries and centuries, because it was taken over by somebody that doesn't want us to be happy as species when we were created. And who did that? Who did that? And some religious people will be like, "Oh, the devil did that. That's the devil. He influences people to do that stuff and all that shit." Really? Pay attention. Okay? And he says, "I wonder how much like the Anunnaki we are. Are we more like them, or are we more ourselves? Were we created like this on purpose? I don't think we were created to be like this on purpose. We were created to have a wonderful life, to have a brand new life. We were created to create better opportunities for ourselves, to create more positive love on this home planet when we first were created and were put here from someone that was from the sky." Let's see what it says.
And as for what they were looking for, it could have been minerals. I believe it was. I think there's strong evidence of prehistoric mines in southern Africa. It may well have been minerals. But it could have been something else, something to do with the properties of planet Earth. And it might have been something to do with ourselves, our uniqueness as Homo sapiens.
Were our ancestors really engineered as workers, toiling for the colonizers? Were the Anunnaki only interested in our planet's resources and coldly indifferent to the progress of the human race? Other ancestral narratives speak of our human origins in exactly the same terms, and yet there are other strands to the story. The Greek-Babylonian narrative of Oannes and the Apkallu speak of the visitors helping and educating our human ancestors. Native American memory reports interdimensional and extraterrestrial visitors nurturing the beginnings of human society. Zulu mythology speaks of our ancestors being nurtured by advanced beings. Might the Anunnaki have had a more generous motivation towards their human workforce?
My book, Escaping from Eden, argues that our ancient texts recall a range of species that bumped up against our ancestors. And the stories in our world mythologies tell of conflicting ideas.
By the way, there is a movie on that too, just to let y'all know. It's on here. You gotta check that out. Which I want to look it up. I seen it a few days ago. I actually want to look into that. So I just want to let y'all know.
Is among the visitors as to how conscious and how intelligent they wanted humans to be. Now, certainly there are some cold agendas towards humanity that play out in our world's stories of beginnings, the limiting of human life, a flood to kill them all, a neurological interference to take the power of speech from us and dumb us down, a bombing that destroys our engineering and technology, a neurological interference to lower our perceptual and cognitive abilities. Now, in the Sumerian version of these stories, it's the senior Anunnaki Enlil who actions and pushes all these negative agendas that are somewhat hostile to human beings. But there is another agenda in the Anunnaki community. There is a figure called Enki.
What was his name? Enlil? Is that the person you think that's still here today? Or because since we were created to create and they came down here to planet Earth and everything that's happening today in society and before then and before that, thousands of years ago, is that influence still going on today? And I don't think we even realize it. I mean, some realize it, but the majority of us don't realize it. And some religious folks will call it will call him the fallen angel. And y'all refer to him as the devil, but the devil's not real. He's an actual being. His name is Enlil. Look him up yourself. Shout out to Wikipedia. Or not just that. You gotta do your research.
Who appears to be the leader of the Earth Project, and he is junior to Enlil. He's described as Enlil's brother. So in the Sumerian story, humanity gets caught in the crossfire of these mysterious beings in conflict. A number of our so-called creation myths begin with a rehabilitation of a devastated and flooded planet, shrouded in darkness. And that arrival is a positive interaction with this other species because they begin to nurture life on the planet. They nurture animal life, they nurture human life. Then later in the Sumerian account, it's Enki, the one who's in charge of the Earth Project, who wants to upgrade human beings for a more enjoyable, a better, a more conscious kind of life. And there's a conflict between Enlil and Enki over whether that should happen. Enlil, the CEO, does not want that. And so Enki breaks ranks to achieve that upgrade for us. When Enlil wants to destroy the human experiment by devastating the planet, again, it's Enki who seeks out a favored family, the family of Artrahasis, aka Ziusudra, aka Utnapishtim, aka Noah, and gives him instructions as to how to construct an escape pod for his family and his farm so they can reboot the project. So I think we can say the Anunnaki presence is a mixed bag for humanity. We're really caught in the crossfires of this conflict among a species who are ambivalent about the progress of human society. There is oppression and slavery in the Anunnaki narrative, but there's also a concern for human welfare and a nurturing of human beings. So it's a mixed story.
Today's reports of ET contact reflect a similar range of agendas, some harmful, some indifferent, and some nurturing. Are these contemporary experiences connected with the Anunnaki narratives? Or are people today experiencing something or someone different? What difference does the Anunnaki narrative make to human beings today? If you and I are part primate and part Anunnaki, how does that help us? And are the Anunnaki still present? Or are we now our own masters? Does the Anunnaki narrative give us an explanation of our original separation from all?
I kind of feel like in a sense of way, we kind of are, like I said, we were created to create. Like we are our own masters. And that's why I feel like in Lil, his DNA is still part of most others' DNA, and we forget. Like that's why I said we forget who we are as people. as a species. And that's why I say, like, the influence that's around us, the influence we see on TV, like just like the bankings and all the school systems and all the and the like the jobs and all that stuff is what is suppressing us. Is literally suppressing our minds so we forget who we are. So it can cause this chaos within ourselves and then our surroundings. So we can't focus on being our own master. And I think that's the whole point about Anki and his brother and Lil fighting each other, saying no, they're not. He didn't want us to have that free will. He didn't want us to have that power to create our own, so we can create a better opportunity for ourselves. He didn't want that. So I feel like some of his vibration, his aura, is still lingering in modern time. Because some people are going based off his believings, his oof. No disrespect to the religion people, to the church people, no Christian, no disrespect to the Christians. But we don't I feel like we don't realize that we're going based off this species, his teachings. We're not realizing we're going based off his teachings. His influence is what's causing the shit that's happening to this society. And we don't realize it because it's lingering. It's been here for so many years. We don't realize it. And that's called the Matrix. That's my opinion on why it's called the Matrix. Is because his aura is still here on planet Earth. After when it got flooded out, his mark is still here. It's Mark. And Inky, I can go into a lot about him as well. He's part of the ocean. Is he trapped right there? Did he get defeated? But his knowledge is still into our DNA because we want to have these inventions and ideas and thoughts for a reason. We want to have these positive things that are happening, but when, like I said, when the positive is more spoke about, it's pushed down further and further away from people who actually has to hear it. It's confusing our minds. It's confusing our thoughts. It's confusing us within and our influence without even realizing. We were created to create. Almost said.
Or other animal forms on planet Earth, but leave us with no word about our future.
My hope is focused not so much on external interventions as on our own capabilities. Our ancestral narratives all speak of higher consciousness being downgraded in our prehistoric past. And to my mind, that raises the possibility that our cognitive abilities can be upgraded and our consciousness can be heightened. Our mythologies speak of our perceptual field being limited. Now, to my mind, that suggests we might be able to expand it. The Anunnaki narrative speaks of us laboring for superiors, and you can see that we're hardwired to do that. But what if we were able to break down that programming and start working for one another instead of those above us? What if we de-engineered all our neurological slave settings and allowed ourselves to live freer, less fearful lives? What would that look like? Many of the cultures that have...
Yo, he literally just broke down everything what I've been saying for so many years now. And what I just broke down just now. But everyone has their own perspective, their own thing they say, but it's the same thing. See how he broke that down? Think about that. Really think about that. People don't like to hear the truth. We're scared to hear the truth. That's what creates more fear. Gotta break that, and that's called the Matrix. conscious.
Curated these stories of beginnings have also curated modalities, methods that are designed to reawaken a higher state of consciousness. So ancient Greek culture, which had this narrative, also had the modality of a kaikion ritual. Kaikion was a kind of tea ritual aimed at heightening the person's state of consciousness. In Mesoamerica, we find another tea ceremony with exactly the same purpose. If we go to indigenous Australia or to Native America, we find smoke and smoking ceremonies and similar activities in the ancient Indian cultures that produced the Vedas. Eastern monastic traditions have disciplines of stillness and conscious breathing. And in my experience,
we started that too, by the way. My ancestors.
They really do have perches in terms of altering our state of consciousness and heightening our abilities for a better human experience.
If the Anunnaki stories represent our true origins as a species, and human beings are part earthling and part higher being, what does that mean for our potential as human beings today? Are we bound to the contracts of employment, systems of money and banking, and the tyranny of hours, minutes, and seconds first taught to the ancient Sumerians more than 5,000 years ago? Or are other ways open to us as human beings? Might higher forms of consciousness help us achieve a new freedom from the legacy of our enslaved past and provide a pathway to a better human experience? For more on these and other probing questions, stay tuned to The Fifth Kind TV and the Paul Wallace channel.
All right, Joe. I ain't gotta say much on that. I don't have to say much on that. We were created to create. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Do your research. Be yourself. You are the chosen one. Let's break it now. The Matrix. Remember, we were created to create. With that being said, peace out, guys.
Put my mind in a box. I'd rather put my mind in a motherfucking box. Get away from the hate. Don't wanna fucking be around the fucking disgrace. No, I don't wanna be around the fucking clowns. No, I don't.